Hello everyone, I'm Frank and welcome to Learn How to Sudoku, where we take a very easy variant Sudoku puzzle and we break it down in detail so that you can learn how to Sudoku. Today's very easy puzzle is called Smoggy Particles and it's by Nicholas Duhale, and here are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, which means fill every row, every column, and every box with the digits 1 through 9 without repeats. The grid is covered in fog. Placing a correct digit will clear the fog from that cell and potentially from other cells somewhere in the grid. So no guessing is required. So this should be able to be logicked out. So from these, if you correctly place a digit in any cell, it will clear out that cell specifically and potentially other cells from somewhere in the grid. Um, to be blunt, I'm not completely sure if I've enjoyed the Fog of War puzzles as much since they've changed these potential rules. Part of it is kind of I've always enjoyed from the Fog of War previously just the satisfaction every time that I've placed a digit correctly and seeing the area around it um, essentially clear out. I guess it's seeing some feedback and it's like, okay, haha, I got that logic. And I mean, it's kind of a primitive thing. It's kind of a primitive reward and behavior thing, I guess. But it hasn't been as satisfying doing the Fog of War puzzles ever since like they've introduced essentially times where basically Fog of War doesn't actually clear out, you know. So I think that I don't know, maybe there's some sort of uh um what's the term? I forgot. Maybe there's some sort of like high you get from essentially like um it's not adrenaline. I forgot the term for it. The thing that basically dopamine. Maybe you get a dopamine kick um, from essentially seeing essentially the fog clear out every time you place a cell correctly. But that will not happen, unfortunately, in this puzzle. Actually, I guess it will. It'll clear out the cell it's in, and other ones. So maybe we'll get this dopamine kick every time here, because it'd be like, oh well, you got this one correct, but we don't know if we got other ones. There are other Fog of War puzzles where they don't actually clear out anything. So that kind of feels bad, or not feels bad, but doesn't feel as good as the dopamine hit you get sort of from like a clearing out of things once you've gotten a um, something correct. Actually, this might be a better way of doing it, right? It clears out the fog about the cell that you did get, and potentially nothing else, but at least that could lead to more hits of the dopamine, right? Anyways, sort of a tangent on the Fog of War puzzles, but these are not these. Well, I guess these are becoming more of the typical Fog of War puzzles, but they're not typical of previous Fog of War puzzles, where if you got placed a digit correctly in one square, it would clear out all the digits surrounding it, including itself. So that's no longer the case here. It will clear out the digit you place correctly and potentially other places. And other rules are white dots join cells with consecutive digits. Black dots join cells with a 1 to 2 ratio, and not all dots are given. So these are called Kropke dots. So in this cell, if, for example, this was a 2, you would know this is a 1 or a 4 to maintain the 1 to 2 ratio between them. If this were, say, a 3, this would have to be a 2 or a 4 to make sure that these two are consecutive, because the white crop key dots separate cells with consecutive digits. And those are all the rules. If you'd like to play along, there's going to be a link in the description. And now, I'm going to get started. Let's learn how to Sudoku. Okay, so we see 4 cells here, all three which are separated by black Kropke dots. So there has to be a 1-to-2 ratio in between these two, and these two. Because of that, we know this is the set of digits 1, 2, 4, and 8. Because those are the only 4 digits where you can have one double of another one, which is double of another one, which is double of another one, right? 8 is double of 4, which is double of 2, which is double of 1. And that's the only scenario you could set of digits you could have. So both of these are 1 and 8. These are 2 and 4. We're just not sure the direction either way. Because of this 1, 8, 2, 4 pair, right? Because 1 cannot be double of anything, but it could be doubled by 2. 2 and 4, 2 is double of 1, and 4 is double of 2, and 8 is double of 4. So that's why 1 and 8 are on the 2 cells that only have one black Kropke dot next to it, whereas 2 and 4 are next to the ones that require 2 Kropke dots. Because of the 1-8 pair in the box and the 2-4 pair in the box, there cannot be another 1, 2, 4, or 8 in the box. But we have 3 digits which have to be consecutive in that box. Where are they? Therefore, what are they? Well, 3 cannot be because 2 and 4 are already taken. 9 cannot be because 8 is taken. So it has to specifically be 5, 6, and 7. Well, what's the one that's consecutive with both 5 and 7? It has to be 6. So this is 6. Okay, so that cleared out that. This is 5 and 7, this is 5 and 7, and this is 3 and 9. Okay, what we have here is we have 3 digits which are not 1 and 8, but have a 1-to-2 ratio with other digits. That would leave 2, 3, 4, and 6. So these are the possibilities 2, 3, 4, and 6. 3 and 9 cannot be here. Where is the 9 in this box? It has to be one of these 3. Well, if the 9 is in one of these 3 cells, it has to be consecutive with another digit. And it cannot be consecutive with any of these digits. It can only be consecutive with 8. So therefore, 8 is here. Well, where is... This is in a 1-to-2 ratio, and we've lost 8. So it cannot be 8. If we try to have... So it can't be 4 and 8 here. If we tried to have 4 and 2 here, that would eliminate 2 possibilities from these 3 cells, which would leave only 2 possibilities left, which would be 3 and 6. And you can't place 2 possibilities in 3 cells. So that doesn't work. Therefore, it can't be 4, 2. Same problem with 3, 6, but also 3 and 9 can't be in this row because of the 3 and 9 pair. So the only other possibility left is 1 and 2. So this is 1 and 2, which means this cannot be 2. These are 3, 4, and 6 as possibilities. Well, it's a 3, 4, 6 triplet, so in the rest of the box you can't have 3, 4, or 6 either, which leaves these as 5 or 7. So 5 and 7 are only consecutive with 3. Oh, sorry, with 4 or 6, not 3. And these are specifically 3 and 6, but this can't be 6 because that can't be 3 anymore. Or it's 2 and 8 here. Okay. The rest of this column, so these are in a 1-to-2 ratio also. Ah, one of these is going to be, at least one of these is going to be in a 3 to 6 ratio, right? So either this is going to be 3, 3 and 6, or this is going to be 3 and 6. Either way, both of these can never be 3 and 6, right? So this can never be a 3 to 6 ratio here, because one of them, at least, cannot be 3 and 6. Therefore, these two both have to be 1, 2, 4, and 8, right? Because there's no other possibilities for pairs of cells. So this has to be 1, 2, 4, and 8, because you cannot have 3 and 6, right? If you tried to have 3 and 6 here, the problem is one of them would essentially lose, at least one of them would lose that possibility of being a 3 or 6 here. So this is 1, 2, 4, 8, which means the rest of this box cannot contain 1, 2, 4, and 8 because of the 1, 2, 4, 8 quadruplet. These cells, this 5, 7 pair cannot be any of these 3 cells. They have to be specifically in these 2 cells now. Because again, they can't be here, and they can't be here. There's only 2 cells remaining for those 2 digits. So therefore, they have to be in those cells. The remaining digits now have to be here, which is 3, 6, and 9. And because this is 3, 6, and 9, that eliminates 3, 6, and 9. It's a triplet. It eliminates 3, 6, and 9 from the rest of the column. Therefore, this can't be 3, 6, or 9, so it must be 4. And it must be with 2 or 8. 4 can only be consecutive with 5 out of 5 or 7, so this is 5, this is 7. This 7 means these can't be 4. This has to be a 3, 6 pair here then, because those are the only digits remaining. The only digits remaining in column 1 are 1, 2, and 8. So this is 1, 2, 8 here. This can't be 7, so this must be 5, which makes this a 7. Ha. Okay, so yeah, we aren't really getting the dopamine hit as much here. We know what the remaining digits here are. We know what the remaining digits here are for these 3 cells, and we know what these remaining digits here are. The remaining digits here are 4, 6, and 8. Oops. Be careful about that. The remaining digits here are 1, 3, and 7. Well, 1 can only be in a 1 to 2 ratio with 2, so this is out. And 7 can never be in a 1 to 2 ratio with any other digit. So this has to be 3. This has to be 6 then. Which actually gives us, yeah, what we expected. Anyways. Let's see. The remaining digits here are 2, 5, and 9. And 5 and 9 cannot be next to a black Kropke dot, right? 5 is double of 2.5, which is not a digit. And if you double 5, you get 10, which is not a digit. Same with 9. 9 is double of 4.5, which is not a digit. And if you double 9, you get 18, which is not a digit. So therefore, this is 2. This is in a 1 to 2 ratio with another digit, which must be consecutive with a non-2. The only digits that can be consecutive with this, it could be 4, 6, or 8 here. But if it's 6, this would be in a 1 to 2 ratio with 3, which is not in a 1 to 2 ratio with 2. So it can't be 6. If it's 4, that would be in a 1 to 2 ratio with 8 or 2, but neither of those are in a 1 to 2 ratio with 2. So it cannot be 4. This has to be 8, which makes this not 6. This is a 9, which makes that 5. This then has to be 4. This can't be 8, so this must be 2. Okay, that's nice. That sort of dopamine hit is nice to feel. This can't be 4 anymore, so this makes that 8, which makes that a 4. Okay. These digits are in a 1 to 2 ratio. So it's either 1, 2, or 4 here. But if this is 1, It cannot have two digits that it's in a 1 to 2 ratio with. So this is either 2 or 4 here. This is, again, either 1, 2, or 4. If this is 2, it would have to be with 4 to be next to 1 or 3. If it's 4, it would obviously have to be next to 2. So this is, if it's 2 again, it has to be next to 4, because if it's next to 1, it doesn't have two digits that it's consecutive with. If this is 4, this has to be 2, and this is consecutive with 3 and 5, and the 5 would have to be here. So either way, 3 has to be one of these two cells. Obviously, 2 and 4 both have to be here. And the remaining digits in column 8 have to be 1, 5, and 7. Okay. That's not helpful. We know 3 is one of these, so this cannot be 3. It's 6 or 9. This cannot be 5 or 7 because of the 5, 7 pair in the row. So this can't be 5 or 7, which forces this to be 1, which means none of these are 1. This can't be 1, so this must be a 3, and this must be 5, and this is 4, and this is 2. This can no longer be 4 and 8. This can't be 1 or 2 because of the 2. This is 5. We have a 1 here. The remaining digits now are 6, 7, 8, 9. 7 cannot be either of these cells, so 7 can only be one of these two. 8 can't be either of these, so 8 is one of those two. But 6 and 9 can be either of these. The remaining digits in row 8 are 6, 7, 8, and 9. But this can't be 6 or 7. Okay. So this cannot be 8 because of the 4, 8 pair in the row. Whereas the 8 in this box now, it has to be here. So this is an 8. Okay, these are consecutive. This can no longer be 9 because if it were 9, they would have to have an 8 here to be consecutive with, and that's not allowed. This can't be 5, so if it's 6, this would have to be 7, but that can't be either because of the 5, 7 pair in the row. So this can't be 6. If this is 7, if it's 8, it has to be with 7. It has to be specifically with 9. But the problem with that is if this is 8 and this is 9, that eliminates all possibilities for that cell. So this can never be 8. Therefore, this is 7. This cannot be 8 here. It can only be 6 that's consecutive with. So this is 6, which means this can't be 6, which makes that a 9. This can't be like 6 or 9, so this is 3. This can't be 6 here. This can't be 3. These can't be 9. Because of the 6, 7 pair in the row, we know we can't have a 6 or 7 in the rest of the row. So this must be a 9. This has to be a 6 then. This can't be 7. This is 8 or 9. The remaining digits in row 7 are 2 and 4. The remaining digits in row 9 are 1, 3, and 5. This cannot be 5 here. Let's see. 6, 7. Remaining digits in row 3 have to be 1, 5, 7, and 9. Okay. This cannot be 5 or 7 because of the 5, 7 pair in the box. This can't be 5 or 7. We have a 1, 9, 1, 9 pair in row 3, which eliminates 1 and 9 in the rest of the row. So these have to be 5 or 7. This cannot be 7, so it must be 5, which makes that a 7. This can no longer be 5 because of this 5. Let's see, what else do we have? The rest of column 7 has to be 1, 3, 6, and 7. But it can't be 7, obviously, because of the 5, 7 pair. It's 1, 3, 6 as possibilities. The rest of this box in the upper left corner has to be 4579. Okay, that doesn't tell us very much. Okay, that's not useful. Hmm. Let's see. Do we have any additional information? Not really. Oh, we do have some information in column 4. The rest of the column cannot contain 2 or 4 because of a 2-4 pair there. But I don't know if that helps anything. Well, we know 6 has to be one of these two cells. We're just not sure which. Remaining digits in column 9 are 1, 2, 6, and 9. Because it cannot be 7. Okay. Hmm. Um. Hmm. Um. Oh, we have a 1-3, 1-3 pair in row 9, which eliminates 1 and 3 in the rest of the row, so this must be 5. Okay, this has to be a 1 to 2 ratio between these digits. 1 would have to require a 2 to be there, so this cannot be 1. This must be 3, which makes this a 6, which makes this 7. This then has to be a 1, which means this cannot be 1, so this has to be 8. 8 is in a 1 to 2 ratio with only 4. 4 is in a 1 to 2 ratio with 2 here, which would be in a 1 to 2 ratio with 1. This 7 means this can't be 7, so this is a 1, which means that can't be 1, which makes that a 7. This can no longer be 6 here, so it's a 1-3 pair. This can't be 1, so this must be 9, which makes this a 1. These can no longer be 1 or 9, so it's 2 and 6 here. The 2 here means this can't be 2, so this is 4, which makes that a 2. These have to have a 1 to 2 ratio between them, and the only 2 that could work would be 2 and 4. So this is 2, this is 4. This 2 makes that a 1, this 4 makes that an 8. This 2 makes that a 1, which makes that 1 a 2. Remaining digits in... This cannot be an 8 because of this 8, so this must be a 9, which makes that an 8. This is consecutive with something. 3 and 6. So 3 could be consecutive with 4 or 2, but 4 and 2 are eliminated in the column. So this cannot be 3. This has to be 6, which makes this 3, which makes that 6, which makes that 3. 6 is consecutive with 5 or 7, so that works with 5 or 7. We now have a 5, 7, 5, 7 pair in the column, which eliminates 5 and 7 in the rest of the column. That leaves only 9. So this is 9. 9 is only consecutive with 8, so this is 8, which makes that a 1. This 1 means this can't be 1, which makes that 3, which makes that 1. The only remaining digits here, well, we have a 5, 7, 5, 7 pair here in row 2, which eliminates 5 and 7 from the rest of the row. Well, this can only be 4, 5, or 7 as possibilities in these cells, but this can't be 5 or 7 because of the 5, 7 pair. Therefore, this must be a 4. 4 is only consecutive with 5 out of 5 or 7, so this must be 5, which makes that 7. This 5 means this can't be 5, so that's a 7, which makes that a 5. This 7 means this can't be 7, so this is 5, which makes that a 7. 7 is only consecutive with 6 out of 2 or 6, so this is 6, this is 2. We now have 8, 2, so we know where the last 2 has to be. It has to be here. Do we have all the 1s? We have all the 1s. We don't have all the 3s. What about 4s? We have 8, 4, so we know where the last 4 should be. It should be here. And then for 3 has to be here, because that's the only remaining digit. Therefore, this can't be 3. This must be 9, which makes that 3. This 9 means this can't be 9, so this is 8, which makes that 9. And the rest we learned from Sudoku. So this must be 6, this must be 9, and this has to be an 8. And that's how you solve it. Congrats. I hope you enjoyed. I did actually. So I did like that we did get more of the dopamine hits that I was talking about earlier. Previous ones, there have been previous newer Fog of War puzzles where basically you don't even get confirmation that, well, it's based on how it's actually set up, right? This was kind of nice in that basically anytime it didn't clear out that much fog, but we had a decent amount of essentially places where we just had normal Sudoku, where we cleared it out, just using normal Sudoku logic. So it didn't clear out that much fog of war by itself, so it didn't feel as... We were able to get more of those small victories, I guess, along the way. So this was actually very... I liked how this felt from as a fog of war perspective. Because we got little small details, obviously, which allowed us to continue the solve of the puzzle. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Learn How to Sudoku, and I'll see you next time on Frank Puzzles. Take care.